Hey, good morning, folks. It's Rick. It is a beautiful Sunday morning. Nice brisk 38 degrees here in Northeast Florida, early November. I'm going to be doing some work out with the new chicks this morning. But, you know, I was thinking yesterday, we're always talking about these new chicks and the new coop. And I often reference my old girls, or my old chickens, and their coop, but I don't think I've ever even posted a video about my old girls. These are the ones that are between 2 and 3 years old. I always reference the upper front coop. Well, I'm going to give you kind of a tour of the front coop today as I go let them out. So, beautiful day out here. There's I don't know if you can get it, but there's a nice shot of the sunrise this morning. LaLa getting ready to go out and do her morning goat care, feeding them. We built this coop for our first 2 generations of birds, and every morning we basically come and let them out. This is a manual gate, and let them in, and they go out, put themselves up in the evening. But this is our big girls. I haven't videoed anything to do with any of them. So I'm gonna let them out, show you that. So they're in the midst of their fall molt, so their egg production has really slowed down. So this is the daily chicken parade. Come on, girls. Let out by the Andalusian and the Buff Orpington. So all of these birds are between 2 and 3 years old. These are our main layers right now. So altogether there's 30 of them. There's 30 adult hens, but of them, here's a good example of one that's in full molt right now, and that's one of our Delawares, one of our most productive egg layers. But she right now is looking really rough. She's lost her feathers, so she's regrowing them. So let me see that little one right there. That is a leghorn who has just fully molted, and this is one that has not yet molted. So it's the difference between a really beautiful white chicken and that nasty gray one before they lose their feathers. In previous videos I've talked about, you know, what was recommended in terms of roosts, and we did that in the main coop area. But what the hens actually end up doing is they just roost out here in the rafters. They jump up this little ladder. From there they fly up here to the 2x4s, and that's really where they roost every single night. They don't bother using the actual natural branch roosts that are inside. This is another little thing that I saw on YouTube. It was passing around on Facebook, or I think it was Facebook, a couple of years ago, which is a chicken swing. Looked really kind of cool. I thought I'd make them one versus buying one. So I just sank some eye bolts into again, another stick, mounted that to some metal rails that I had in my scrap bin, hooked it to some chains. Theoretically, it looks like a great idea. I've never seen a chicken on it in 2 years, so that was a waste of time. So here we've got our 2 nesting boxes. So technically I would only need 1. If you look at the manufacturer's recommendations, they say 1 box for every 5 to 10 chickens. We've got 30 chickens. I've got lots of capacity here if I wanted to add to it. Out here we've got 1 feeder. This is a Little Giant. I really like these feeders. It's the same feeder that we are using out in the new chicken coop. This is designed for through the wall use, and what I mean by that is that the lid opens up in reverse. So we basically holds about 40 pounds of feed. We fill that about once a week for all 30 hens. they use that as a supplementation. As I've said before, most of their food comes from foraging around the property. And when I go back outside, I'll show you that. But this is the inside. Now these nesting boxes here are different from what we're using in the new coop. What we're going to be putting in the new coop are automatic nesting boxes, or roll-away is what they're called, nesting boxes. So essentially when the chickens lay in those boxes, the eggs will roll down and we will pick them from inside of the barn, versus on the inside where we actually have to go into the coop and get our eggs. So manually we've got to do that now with these boxes. We come in every day and pick the eggs, and then with the new ones that we're putting in the new coop, we won't have to do that. So it's one of our Andalusians. That's one of my, actually, yeah, that's one of my favorite chicks right there. They're just very personable, not very skittish, great birds to have on a farm, and they're very productive, big egg layers for their size. So you can see here's the flock. They kind of stick together early in the morning, but as the day goes on, they kind of spread out everywhere. And they're just out there foraging. This is what they're going to do all day long. They're not captive, so they've got a lot of space, as you can see. This little hump of dirt right here, this was a dirt pile that I had brought in for dirt supplementation somewhere on the farm, probably 3 years ago. And this is what's left of it. So instead of leveling this out, one of the advantages that I found from just leaving it here is this is where the chicks do most of their bathing at. So you can see these little divots, such as there. You see there's a little hole all the way through that. So this is where the chickens come out and bathe. Now how a chicken bathes, and it's really important for parasite resistance, for ticks, for mites, for lice, is they will take a dirt bath. And what that involves is they will spread their wings out, lay down into the dirt, kind of dig a little hole, get the bottom of their body into that hole, and then just use their wings to push dirt up into their feathers. Really, really important for parasite control. So this is the watering system here. This is hooked up to an eave that then drains down into this tank. This tank then feeds into a chicken watering bar that I built. Feeds from that hose there, and then the chickens come in and peck at those waterers, and it releases just a little tiny bit of water, and that's their main water source right there. So that has worked really, really well, and it's the same system that we're going to be using in the new coop. Different bucket, or different tank, and it's going to be elevated out there to give me more gravity feed than this one. Sometimes when that gets low, we have problems with that. So here was some of the trial and error that we had from when we built this coop. So the main coop, where I expected them to spend most of their days, is in this front part of the coop right here. So what I put on the sides was nesting boxes. Each side has its own nesting box. Each side's built exactly the same, so I'll kind of give you kind of a peek inside those to see what that looks like. But they're both exactly the same. I built them separately and then just installed them. So they've got latches on both sides. This is the nesting box inside. And they were built to emulate the roll-away style, but that never seemed to work very well. This is the lower area. That's technically where the eggs would have been retrieved from. And this is one of those things that in theory seems like it would work really well. In practical terms, it was a monumental waste of time and money to put those in. Chickens didn't use them. What I ended up getting was them laying eggs over in the compost pile. They would lay eggs on the floor of the coop inside. but they would not lay eggs in here. Once in a while I'd get an egg in here. You can hear Bruno and Betsy in the background. So there they are, kind of saying good morning to me. Oh, there's Bruno there. But going back to this, so they would not lay eggs in there. They laid eggs in the compost pile, compost bins over here, and on the floor of the coop. So we stopped using them. I bought some fake eggs, put them into the nesting boxes that you already saw inside, and that's where they lay all of their eggs. So this coop was designed to be easily cleanable. We come in here every couple of months. It's basically a deep litter system that I use in this coop. I just throw some more straw in there. That straw decomposes, and then they will ultimately scratch this for parasites and little bugs that may be present in there. So this is the inside of the coop. So let me give you this side so we got better lighting. So this is access into the nesting boxes I just showed you. Again, they really don't use it. Now here are the natural roosting bars that we put in that I think I told you in a previous video they don't use. Some of the younger ones of this bunch do. Not sure why, but it's you never see one of the older or more mature birds in here. So we've got 3 nesting bars on the inside of this coop. And here's the entry into the nesting boxes on the other side. You've got a little step that goes outside, and that's the hole from you saw on the inside. You can see I've got some just basically flooring material is what I used on the inside of this. That's what lines the bottom and the sides, because I knew that there was going to be some decomposing material in here. Here's the view of the coop from the other side. And again, you can kind of see before when I shot these videos, when I shot the footage previously, that the hens were kind of staying right together, and now they're starting to drift apart. And over the course of the morning, they will separate more and more. So one of the issues that I had raised from, not issues, one of the things that I hope happens is that when we begin using this coop in the back, which we've done now, is that some of these adult hens will choose to move, take up residence in the back. And that seems to be working, hopefully. We have one of the adult buff Orpingtons. When I say adult, she's about a year old. That's a buff Orpington. But one of the one-year-old buffs has moved to the back coop, the new coop that we're building, and is now essentially, she hasn't gone into the coop yet, but she goes out there, she forages all day long. I don't even think she's been up here in the front coop in multiple days. Several days. She just kind of stays in the back, and at nighttime she hangs out with Betsy, the guardian dog, for protection. So hope you enjoyed this. Again, this is something that I always talk about my big girls, but I don't often, I haven't taken any video of them. So I hope you enjoyed this, and make sure to subscribe to the channel if you like the video. We're gradually growing the subscriber count, which is great. That's what we're looking for, as followers of LaLa Farm, folks that are interested in learning how we farm on a small property, with our goats, with our chickens. Eventually have some hogs and the 1 to 2 steers, bees, and then hopefully this year I'll actually have time to begin the market garden. So, all right, take care.